You are number 666.
Hey, what's up? This is TJ from the Nearly Deads, and you're blowing it up on Capital Chaos TV.
So you're calling from Florida? Is that the home base, or are you on tour?
We are on the road right now. We're playing in Omaha, Nebraska tonight.
Wow. How long has you toured? Who are you on the road with?
We're on the road with another female-fronted band named Blame Shift, and we will be on the road until November. So it's been about 3 weeks so far. Got about a week and a half left.
Wow, and how's the tour going?
It's been awesome. It's been hitting up the Midwest. Blame Shift puts on a great show every night, and we're having a lot of fun with them.
And well, any highlights so far? Any crazy stories on this particular tour? Or is it just a well-oiled machine?
I mean, this tour, the real highlight has been that we've had fans that have driven like 4 hours to come to a show. Or even we have a fan last night that flew all the way from Colorado to come, see a few shows on the tour. So the fans have really made it incredible for us. They're singing along to every song of our new record. They know every word to every song, and that's been really awesome.
That must make you feel good.
Yeah, I mean, we owe everything to our fans, and it's kind of been awesome to see them who have been maybe following us for the past couple of years, but haven't had the chance to see us live. And some of these shows in some of these smaller towns and markets, they're coming out and being like, hey, I've listened to you for 5 years. I'm so excited to finally see you live. And that's pretty awesome.
That is pretty amazing. Who would have thought that 5 years from 5 years ago that you'd be in a situation like this?
Yeah.
When you started the band out, did you start it out for fun, or did you put a lot of work into doing something that you thought would carry you on into the future?
Well, we always knew that we were in it for the long haul, and finding, band members who were in it to kind of make it a business and make it their job. That's probably the most difficult part when you start, because not everybody is willing to put in the amount of work that it takes in the music industry, or not everybody, it's not their path, So when we were forming the band, that was a very important, hey, we're going to tour, we're going to try to make a living doing this, this is going to be, our end game, are you down for this? Are you ready for this? And we always had that mentality. I think all of us growing up always knew, music was what we wanted to do. It was our passion, and we wanted to somehow make that work.
And it was in 2010, and then on 2013 you signed with Standby Records, and you put out a full length. Is that correct? Invisible Tonight.
We actually just did an EP with Standby Records, and we
their EP.
It ended up just not working out with them, and then we kind of mutually decided to part ways with them. And then we actually did a Kickstarter to self-fund our album Invisible Tonight, and that was an independent release. And we have our fans to thank for that.
Absolutely. And now your experience with Standby was an experience to where they didn't really fill up their end of the deal, or do you care to elaborate at all with your experience with Standby?
It's not really something that I can really go into a ton of details on, except for it just didn't work out. It just wasn't the right fit for us, and we kind of talked about it with them and worked out a way to kind of part ways.
Well, it's good. It's good. Some people get stuck on. In the past, people have been stuck on labels. It's been nice that you've been able to free yourself from that.
We do hear it from a lot of other bands, and it doesn't really matter what level you're on. And, you could be just starting out, just getting on a label, or you could be a bigger, more established band that's been touring for years. A lot of bands have been vocal about their record label experiences, and my advice to anybody out there starting a band is just do it on your own for as long as you can. And kind of the record industry is changing, and the role of the label is changing, and due to crowdfunding, we've been able to kind of sustain what we've been doing. And if anything else comes along and it's a good fit, then we're definitely open to it. But for now, we're making it work.
Yeah, in this day and age, there's really no point in signing up for a large loan on a bad interest rate, which is what a lot of being signed to a record label is for the most part.
That's that's a great analogy for it. I'm going to have to use that. Somebody in the van just threw something at me. I apologize.
Oh. Food?
I've got the whole band here.
Oh, cool. Hi.
Yeah, we're on. Hi, everybody. But yeah, no, that's a great analogy. That's a great way of looking at it. And not only is it a bad loan at a bad interest rate, they're also owning, your intellectual property and the rights to your music. So you really want to be careful what you get into, and make sure you get a lawyer. And we're not anti-label by any means, but you definitely, like I said, to anybody starting out and you're considering a label, really look at it from, is there stuff that we can do for you? Because we know a lot of bands that are on record labels that really don't get a lot of help from them, and that's just a fact. So, if you're on a label and you're giving them money, they own your music, but they're really not helping you out. And you gotta understand that happens at every level of the game, no matter how big or how many years that you've been together. And that's something we've seen just over the years of being a band.
So, how did you get into music? What turned you on to rock and roll?
I played music my whole life. I played piano my whole life. Did a lot of theater and always loved singing. Same goes for everybody in the band. We've all played music pretty much our whole life. Everyone picked up their instrument at an early age. And I actually studied classical voice in college. I studied composition, and it was kind of more in that realm. But one day I got a job at Hot Topic, and I started listening to rock and roll and punk and metal, and I just ended up loving bands like Taking Back Sunday and The Used, Alkaline Trio, Distillers, and just, I want to make a band. I want to do a band now, and of course Evanescence, being a piano player, hearing Evanescence bring me to life on the radio, I was like, oh my gosh, there's piano and rock and metal. It's this can happen, this can be a thing. I was so inspired to just, start a band around that kind of concept of being piano driven and letting that be something other than classical.
And what was the local scene like where you're from? Was there any particular bands in the scene that may have inspired you to do it yourself, or was it Evanescence and what you heard on the radio? I had been in a few bands before I found the guys that were in the Nearly Deads, and I had a project called Bombs Not Bombs in Tampa. I was very inspired by the Dresden Dolls, kind of a punk cabaret piano drums duo, and that's what I was in. Then we all moved to Nashville, and we're going to make it in the music industry, and I ended up joining up with the Nearly Deads that actually was kind of already a band called Danger Flight, and they were looking for a singer, and I didn't have anything going on, and I was really loving what they were doing and loving their music, and so I tried out, and then we became a female-fronted band in Nashville, and some of the other local bands in the scene, one in particular, Darling Parade, really played our first several shows with us. They're also female-fronted, and they really gave us a leg up. They really helped us out, introduced us to our awesome producer, and we just started meeting people from there. And you've been playing. I would imagine you've opened for a lot of bigger bands. Do you care to name a few that you've opened for that might be surprised to hear?
We opened for Hailstorm a couple times in Nashville. We went on tour with In This Moment, which was an incredible experience. Just recently, we were playing with Bumblefoot. He was with Guns N' Roses for a couple years, and he's just an incredible player. So that was very cool to open up for him. A few years back, we played a festival with the All American Rejects, so that was really cool as well.
Have bands that you played with that are bigger than you, have they all been, have they treated you pretty well for the most part? Have you come across any negativity, or there's some bands sometimes can be very restrictive to the bands that open for them or whatnot? Have you experienced any of that kind of behavior?
Honestly, everything has been extremely positive. They've treated us with respect, treated us like equals. And we've actually gotten a lot of great advice from hanging out with them. And so nothing but positivity. I think in our experience, I think you do attract other positive people if you're a positive person. So we try to focus on that energy, and like, we've been lucky enough to work with people who believe the same thing. When you get into the industry and you meet bigger bands, that's kind of true across the board. It's I've never really worked with somebody who is like difficult, because I don't think you get big if you're difficult to work with, honestly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Who wants to deal with you?
It's very consistent. Like, for the people that we meet, they're so humble and gracious, and they're the ones that have been established and are, playing the bigger, huge shows and winning awards and winning Grammys. You know what I mean? Like Hailstorm, just very humble, deserving people and incredible people. And there's definitely a correlation between that attitude and success.
Were you, as a youth, were you forced to go to church at all? Did you sing in a choir? Did you, what does religion play? How has religion shaped you to be the lady that you are?
Honestly, when I was young, I did sing in church choir. It was probably my favorite part of the day. But it's not really something that plays a large role in my personal life anymore.
And you have it's a 6-song EP, and it's very good. I listened to it yesterday. I think one of my favorite songs is the last one. I'm a sucker for pretty ballads. And how did you come about? How difficult was it to put those songs in order?
The EP came together relatively easy. We wanted a ballad. I would say choosing a ballad was probably harder because we only wanted one. And I had a few that I had brought to the table, and we ended up going with As Good As It Gets and kind of reworking it into what it is, and it kind of builds towards the end. And it just seemed fitting with the whole theme of the record, which is, all about getting out of the negativity in your life, living your best life, and, having your success be your best revenge towards whatever may have been holding you back. And As Good As It Gets was kind of like that final appreciation, like, okay, what I have is really as good as it gets. It's living in the moment kind of a song. So it really all kind of came together.
Did you record more than what you've released? Do you have a wealth of recorded material that is waiting to be released?
We only record what goes on the album at this stage in the game because we have to pay for everything that we record, being independent. There are songs that didn't make the cut that we have ready to go that have been kind of like in the shelf as a band. But, a lot of things change in the studio, so we kind of like to keep it open and have this, maybe an abstract kind of idea or a chorus or a theme of a song, but never really anything solidly finished until the record's ready to come out, because so much changes in the studio. And we try different things, and the producer has us try different things, and it always ends up being better than we ever could have imagined. So we like to leave it, really open. That way you're not married to the song or married to the idea, because based on people's response to this album, we really want to keep going in that heavier direction, keep doing more piano, bring more ballads out, and really showcase that aspect of the band. So we're just going to keep it open for the future.
Are there any cover songs that are part of your repertoire? Have you ever recorded any cover songs?
We have done covers. We have an Ellie Goulding song, Holding On for Life, that's on YouTube. We played a Lady Gaga cover on our last tour. We played Offspring on our shows, Jimmy Eat World, but we're definitely majority original band. We love to throw in covers of just songs we like, but no covers on this tour.
And is doing ticket pre-sales the same thing as pay to play?
That's a good question. I don't really think so, honestly. It helps people get to the shows and come out to the shows, and it's, if you buy a ticket ahead of time, it's really more of a way to guarantee you're actually going to show up and come to the show. I don't really see it that way.
Oh, okay. It's almost, for some people, it'd be like, making an investment in your show, as opposed to letting a promoter do all the work and crossing your fingers, I suppose.
It's definitely a partnership. I mean, we're going to do our part, and promoters and venues should do their parts as well. And whenever locals sell tickets to the shows, more people always show up. You know what I mean? So it, to me, is a very positive thing.
Do you still buy physical music, or do you mostly use streaming sites?
I do. I buy physical copies. I do, and I also stream. And I'll stream something, and if I love it, I'll buy it.
Are you a collector? Do you have a vast collection?
I have so many CDs. I have a huge box of CDs. I love shopping at used record stores. I love finding that old classic because I love album artwork and I love everything that goes along with it. I'm one of those booklet people, and I appreciate all the artwork that artists put into it. I recently bought, one of my favorite bands of all time is Garbage, and they did coffee table book vinyl combination, and that was like my big treat to myself with their live vinyl. And yeah, so I have a small little vinyl collection. I'm about to buy Kesha's new album on vinyl too.
Oh, nice. Do you get an opportunity to you probably don't have that much time to spare while you're on tour, going from city to city. Do you get an opportunity to go to record stores in different towns when you do have that kind of time?
Sometimes we do, definitely. And if we find, I'm always looking for that good gem. I'm always looking for old school punk on vinyl, and I can never find it. I think now that vinyl is back in, that people aren't selling them off anymore.
They're holding on to them for the next end of pressing, so they can mark it up, probably, right?
Right, right.
And what music have you? Just a couple more questions. What was the first music you bought, and what have you bought more than once? Like, have you bought something on?
My first record was, I had Green Day's Dookie on cassette, and I had Garbage version 2.0 on cassette. And my record that I buy whenever I see it, I buy The Ugly Organ by Curses. It's actually my favorite album of all time. I have The Ugly Organ tattoo, and if I'm in a record store and I see it, I buy it. I have several copies of it, just in case in case I lose one, or I don't know. I always have to buy it when I find it.
Very cool.
I'm in love with that album.
A huge music fan. Wow, that's great. And what kind of references or influences do you take from other mediums? Is there a particular book or other kinds of artists that you are inspired by?
I'm very inspired by Chuck Palahniuk. Fight Club is my favorite movie. Invisible Monsters is my favorite book. I'm in love with his writing. the way that he writes and the way that he uses words. On our album Invisible Tonight, the song Changeover is very inspired by Fight Club. And there's, just several other lines here and there and things and parts of the music that were inspired by him. And when we did the video for My Evil Ways off of Revenge, I told our director, hey, Fight Club is very dark and very whatever. I want that look. And he was like, I got you. I know exactly. I love Fight Club. I know what you're talking about. So if you watch the video for My Evil Ways, you'll see those little hints and those little nods. He even has a little flicker in there and the little burn at the end, like the little cigarette burn at the end. And he just nailed it. So, yeah, definitely. It's a great question.
And what would you say for you would be the top 5 albums or songs that have been released this year so far?
Ooh, okay, Kesha, Rainbow for sure. That whole album is amazing. Even if you're not like the biggest Kesha fan, give it a listen. She does a duet with Dolly Parton on it. I mean, it's great. It's Southern and rock and roll. Eagles of Death Metal make an appearance on that album. I mean, it's great. I also love the band Brand New. Just released a new album called Science Fiction. My bass player Kevin is also very into that band. We jam them together. I listened to it 3 times in a row. So that's an amazing album that's come out. What else came out this year?
It's October.
I can't think. I'm just obsessed with those 2 albums, really.
That's fine. That's fine. That's all you comes to mind. That's all I can ask for. What endorsements do you have, and what endorsements do you still want as far as gear goes? What's bringing us the Nearly Dead sound?
Right now we have a D-drum endorsement for our drummer Josh, who's amazing. He has a really awesome D-drum kit, and we're still working on partnerships. And I love Sennheiser. I would love to be endorsed by them. Microphones, Kevin just shouted out Fender. We use D'Addario strings. We've also been using GHS strings on this tour. They help sponsor the tour with Blame Shift. So that's kind of some of our favorite gear. Orange amps, Ampeg. You're welcome, Kevin. Okay. He's shouting at me like, yeah, these are the things we want to be endorsed by. This is the gear that we use on a daily basis. So.
And I take it you guys are somewhat gear nerds. Have you been to NAMM? And if not, can we expect to see you at NAMM possibly this year?
We always miss it. It's going to sound terrible, but we're either on tour or just can't get out to LA because it's very far from Nashville. They have NAMM in Nashville, and we were on tour for it. So, but yeah, I definitely want to go.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's just a giant. It's a lot of walking, a lot of talking. It's a blast. And just a couple more questions. I think I already said that once, but what song would you like to be played at your funeral, and what 3 albums would you like to take to your grave or the afterlife?
Oh, I really don't know what song I would want to be played. I mean, I really don't know. That's a good question. And I mean, definitely will be taking I had a teddy bear that I've had since I was born, and so I mean I'm definitely taking him. He'll be there. And otherwise, man, I'm not really sure. I don't really think about it a lot. I plan on living forever. And
absolutely. My immortal.
Cryogenically frozen, yeah.
Why not? Why not?
You
sounds
never
better
know what technology.
Sounds better than being eaten alive by or eaten dead by worms, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And what does rock and roll mean to you?
What does rock and roll mean to me? It means acceptance. It means being yourself. It means being free. It means having fun, forgetting about your worries and your troubles, and just rocking out and living in the moment.
And do you have any final thoughts, shout-outs, or dirty jokes you care to share?
I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen and support us over the years, and make sure if you don't know who we are, check us out on YouTube, and hopefully you like what you hear and you tell your friends about us, and keep on growing the Zombie Nation, and just like tons of appreciation and gratitude to all of our fans over the years.
Well, cool. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you when you come to Northern California.
Yeah, definitely.